record. We're back. I like this hook. You got a book you want to tell us about? Well, let's talk. There's no other place to do it. Only on Catch the Craze. Catch the Craze. Welcome to Catch the Craze podcast. I am your host with the most, the crazy man Vera, and I am with
George, the dreamer, Medina. Why does it do that?
What to do what?
Well, I can't hear the music. I see you bopping your head. I see you moving around, but I can't hear the music. It's weird.
That's no bueno. We got to figure that out. I don't know. That means you're not gonna. That means you're not going to hear the Get Your Meds trailer.
No, I'm not gonna. I didn't even know there was a Meds. I'm upset.
Yo,
it's crazy.
What are you doing? What are you doing? You gotta stop hanging out. You gotta start, watching the show. George doesn't watch our show.
This is crazy. I like to be surprised.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Why can't you hear it? That's fine.
I don't know.
You can hear me.
I can hear you fine.
Oh,
and then
you'll be able to
beat
hear it.
Come in at first, and then it just goes away.
You'll be able to. I'm gonna have to put it on the mic so this way you can hear it. Hold on one second. So anyway, I created have you seen the new promo with Ray Felix starting off?
I have seen that.
What did you think of it?
I was a little confused at first. I was like, wait, what is this? And then I wasn't sure what it was, but then I got it. So.
And then you got it, man. Hold on.
Yeah. Well, Sam is blaming me for not watching this show, but I gotta tell you, I don't really get brought into these, sessions of creativity.
No.
So I had no idea. I had no idea that you were doing it.
No.
You like to surprise me.
So I had
used to surprises. Though.
I had no idea I was doing it.
Oh shit, that's great.
Yes, it was. What spawned it? I was sitting, and I was like, "Oh, you know what it was?" I was working on the documentary of Catch the Craze, right? And so I was like, "Yo," and the Ray.
I didn't even know there was a documentary. Catch the Craze.
Yeah, you did. We talked about it. Stop acting up. See, he's acting up.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead. So what happened? Oh shit. You got dogs and babies in the house now? What's going on over there?
Crazy jingle without watch the show. All right, so I'm gonna play it on my phone here so you can hear it. There. So let me make sure my audio is all the way up. There you go. All right, here we go.
You wanna know the business? Well, this is the place to show. Catch the craze, we're right in your face. No gimmicks, no nicks, no censoring yourself. Where is the love? Asked the writer to himself. You want distribution? Don't know what I mean. Can't get the latest book because of COVID-19. Reporting in the field with the dreamer, and the quarantine files with the dynamic duo. If you want more, then subscribe to the show and
So that's your Get Your Meds intro, right? So
that's right before the Meds intro.
Yes,
Meds intro?
yes. The guest forgets that instead of that's your intro, but then what I did was I took all the topics from Get Your Meds and created a little jingle for it.
Create a little rhyme. You busting out rhymes. You're going back to your old skills, kid.
So yeah,
that's dope, man. That's nice.
Thank you. Yeah, so I was like, I said, wait, we have all these topics. I wanted a hook for Get Your Meds, basically. So every time we went to that section, and the reason why is because when I was if you're watching the show, if you go to YouTube, if you want to know what section, for instance, if you want to bypass the guest or if you want to bypass the subject, now I have timestamps. Written down in the YouTube summary where you'll know exactly what we're talking about from what time slot to what time slot. So when I got to the Get Your Meds section, I said, oh, I need a hook. And that was what happened. You can't leave you can't leave me alone. That's just basically what it is.
Yeah. And listen, that's always been you though. You've always been able to just create on your own.
Yes, I'm a freak of nature.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He said I'm a freak of nature.
Yeah, which is the whole what is it, Sketch and Go that I just put out. Did you see that?
Yeah. So the one that you did for the one of your characters on Cosmic Wars, right?
Yeah, Zarkanar. Yeah. So I was like, all right, it's again one of those things where those little bites, like little M&Ms to get to the big cake, right? So you want to leave those breadcrumbs like E.T., right? So E.T. wanted those Reese's Pieces. E.T. phone home, right? So I was like, all right, Sketch and Go. And so I just put that together, created the template. It's like, all right, let's do it. Like,
oh, Sammy,
can't leave me.
You're the man.
You can't leave me in the lab.
Yeah, you're just. Yeah, you can't, because you don't ask for anything. You don't say, hey, does this work? You're just like, yep, this works. Yeah,
boom.
You don't care. There's not a care. Let's just do it.
Let's just do it.
You're a doer, bro. You're a doer. You're a shaker. You're a mover. Let's do this.
I'm that guy on the SWAT team, and everybody's talking about looking at the blueprints. It's like, well, if we go around this, I'm going in.
Yeah.
I'm going in. It's like, all right, move. He's going in.
That is you. That's totally you, man. Freaking knucklehead. So what's going on, man? You been good? Everything else is good?
Yeah. Just working on increasing my knowledge on SEO and coding, SEOs and coding and all that stuff, and just producing content. I'm excited at the fact that all of the shows are now already built in, so they'll automatically play on the date they're supposed to play up to July.
Yeah. So basically, what that means is if you go to our channel right now, and you click on say a guest that's coming up, it'll tell you when.
Yes.
And you can set your timers, or you can set your because you subscribe to the channel, you hit that little bell.
Yeah.
And you'll start getting updates as to when the show is about to start or when they're coming on. So it's a cool feature, man. It's very, very well done. And we have a few guys coming on this month that you guys should check out.
And I have it the same way. It's built into it's not only built into YouTube, but it's also built into Podbean. So the audio will be released on the day of through all channels from iHeart to Apple, Pandora, Spotify. They're all at the same time. So you'll have the audio and the video, which is pretty hot. So
that's awesome, dude.
That's good. So now we're just working on the back half of July. We have 2 weeks in July that we're trying to fill the slots for, and August.
Yeah. So just a quick rundown for you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed the show last week. We had Serene on the show. Really cool music, independent artist, modern rock musician.
Yep.
Awesome dude. We had a great conversation with him. This week and today, actually, we have Sam Johnson on the show from Geek-Girl fame.
Yes.
So Sam was able to do that interview with Mr. Johnson, and we'll play that for you later on in the show. So that's awesome.
Yes.
And next week, closing out the month, we're going to have Nerds of the Round, 3 really cool and funny dudes that also have a podcast called Nerds of the Round. Yep. And they're going to be on the show. We'll have them. And then you're right, July 1st, we have Syphaxius. Jonathan will be on the show.
Oh, I got some stuff.
Live
I got some stuff.
Facebook. So get ready for that. July 1st. Make sure you're on Facebook Live. We'll be like, it says live on Facebook, and we'll be talking to him. I mean, we go back with Jonathan. Sam and John's got plenty of stories, and you have plenty of stuff over there, so that's gonna be fun.
Oh, you know me. I got the chest, the treasure trove. I found the press conference between Lyrical Styley.
Yeah.
Yes,
so Lyrical Styley. So tell so people don't know who Lyrical Styley is. So tell them how that.
Lyrical Styley is Jonathan Syphax alter ego.
Don't tell him too much.
Yes, that's his alter ego.
Yes.
That's his rapper's name, and that came out of nowhere. So what happened was we were in the studio. We would rank on each other all the time, and he started saying, I can rap better than you because I used to rap back in the days a long time ago. And so I create the jingles, but I'm not a professional. I'm not out there, doing this professionally. I'm a podcast host and an artist. And so he stepped up and he says, I'm going to batter you. And so then, he got into the studio with the Dreamer as his field agent, his manager. And so then
and producer.
I produce
a track. I produce a track.
Yes, and I had my agent forgot his name, but it's like We Make Bling. I was listening to it the other. I was listening. It was hilarious. It's hilarious.
Do you have both tracks? Do you have yours and his?
I have all of mine. I gotta find his. I've been looking. I've been digging in the. You got it. You gotta send it to me.
I got it. I'll send it to you.
Yeah. So because I'm putting together a skit, a video collage for the show. So yeah, it was fun. And Jonathan, outside of being one of the boys and an aspiring writer, was hilarious. Hilarious.
He didn't know how funny he was.
No.
That's the thing. He always thought like we would be making fun, but he was making us laugh just doing crazy stuff, dude.
Crazy.
And honestly, it's not even like he wasn't even trying. Like
right.
When he tried, I don't think when he tries, he's not as funny as when he's not trying. When he's not trying, he's hysterical.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It's like one of those things. So yeah. Jonathan's a funny dude.
He's the reason for Fun Facts with Syphax. So during our podcasting time, Jonathan would always be adamant that he had the answer and it was factual and it's and so as he's talking, we're on Google searching for facts, and we would always Jonathan created alternative facts before Trump did. So put it that way, because we'd always find a hole in his message, and it was never really aligned. So I think that's why Fun Facts with Syphax came along, because he was just, there was no convincing him. When he was like a dog with a bone. And you would say that's not a bone, that's a tree branch. He's like, no, it's a bone. That was him.
But he would find facts that would tell you that at some point was a tree, not a dog branch, not a branch.
Yes.
He hysterical. I mean, you guys have to check out the show. Yes. Jonathan is, I hang out with him all the time. He's a great dude, love him to death, but he is a funny guy when it comes to those kind of things. So he'll have stories. He'll tell you all about him. And so July 1st, make sure you're on Facebook Live. We'll be on there for the, check that out.
Yes.
And and
he's doing his
exactly
thing. I mean, I'm really impressed. He's doing his thing, and he's producing quality product. And hats off to him. He's got a website called futurescopecomics.com.
Yes. He's got a book out right now called Futurescope Showcase, where he has 3 comic books, or 3 of his stories inside that book. So he's got almost like a preview of the 3 stories that he's got coming out. Yeah. So he's got that, he's doing that. So check that out. Yeah, give him a check, log on to his website, check it out, and order a book if you get a chance. But yeah, man.
I'm looking forward to
doing good stuff. Yeah, doing good stuff. Yeah, man. But yeah, dude, and that's what we got going on. Well, today we got Geek-Girl, and then we have a very interesting topic that you actually did a Crazy in Less Than 10 on, right? You did the Joe Rogan news that came out.
The Joe Rogan Spotify deal.
Yeah.
That was crazy.
That happened last month. Now remember, this is June 19th.
Yes.
But we pre-record the shows, guys, so that's why don't think, wait, that's old news. It may be old news, but we're discussing it now because it's still it's an incredible deal, dude.
It's fascinating. So it's funny because Joe Rogan's not an overnight success. Joe Rogan is somebody who's worked on Joe Rogan's brand. He is his brand, and whether he was doing Fear Factor, whether he's doing UFC, whether he's doing his comedy, or whether he's doing the Joe Rogan Experience, he is his brand, and he's been doing this for years, consistently, and he has versed in a lot of different subject matters. We talked about that, which is why he has such a diverse range of guests. He has everything from scientists, politicians, to musicians, UFC fighters, comedians, He has just a whole slew of people on his show because he's established a foundation of credibility, and because of his knowledge and the fact that he does his homework, and he's a likable guy with a great reputation. This deal, what that does, what caught my attention was Spotify, which is a music platform, scooped up Joe Rogan and for $100 million. And I don't know the length of the terms, whether it's I know it's a multi-year deal, but I don't know if it's like 2 years or 3 years. I don't know. But this is a first for them. And what they did was they just put all the other distribution platforms on alert, on notice, right? Because they went after the number one guy.
Yeah.
So the reason why I was so interested by this is because and there's a lot of content creators out there right now that have an established foundation of a loyal following, have hundreds of thousands, even into the millions. There's an opportunity for those guys, to really make a nice piece of change, and it creates more competition for YouTube, which is the biggest fish.
Yeah. So just to backtrack a little bit, and for anybody who's been living under a rock for the last 11 years or so, Joe Rogan, like you said, was the host of Fear Factor, that show back in the days. If anybody remembers, he was the host of Fear Factor. He's also a comedian, and like you mentioned, he is also he's a commentator, right? In MMA, correct?
Yes, Ultimate Fighting. Even before before Dana White and the Fertitta brothers bought it out, it was when it wasn't sanctioned, when it was like taboo, right. And they were having 3 fights a night.
Yeah.
He was a commentator back then.
Correct. And now Spotify has decided, you know what? We're going to pay this guy $100 million. Now, what they're getting is the full library, right? So it's all of his shows on YouTube, and this is dating back 11 years. And that's going to happen September 1st. So basically, September 1st, everything gets stripped out of YouTube, and Spotify has the exclusivity to play them on their platform.
Right.
Now think about that, and this is what I wanted to ask you. Why didn't YouTube say no? Wait, whoa, let's counter. I'm surprised that YouTube just let that go. You know what I mean? I guess maybe 100 million is just too much. They didn't feel like Rogan was worth that much.
I think. So there's always going to be that one guy in the boardroom that's going to be living with that decision, right? Yeah. Right. And if it bites him in the ass, that's the guy that's going to be out of a job. But it might not, because YouTube is global and has a lot of really huge content creators in their space. If I'm just thinking, and this is just speculation, if I did this for this guy, how many other people are going to come and try to pressure us? You know what I'm saying? So it's like they probably didn't want to put themselves in the position. So in their minds, like, well, everyone's expendable because we have an unlimited pool of content creators, so it's not going to hurt us. Yeah, that's just speculation.
Well, see now, right? Well, see, Spotify either after all this is done, either comes off as geniuses, or comes off as like, what the hell were you thinking? Because they're basically saying podcasting is such a big market that if we get the right guy, and in this case, the right guys, because reading this article from Rolling Stone, they also said that they actually also bought the Ringer, which is Bill Simmons' website, which also has his podcast, the Bill Simmons podcast. The deal neared $200 million, apparently. Right. According to a filing in the Security and Exchange Commission. Right. So that means that Spotify is spending tons of money on podcasts.
Mucho dinero.
Right? So what does that say about podcasting? Now, if you have the following, if you have the subscribers, it's a very lucrative, business and future of social media in a sense. You know what I mean?
And the great thing about what they did now, timing is everything.
Yeah.
Where so here's some statistics, right? So if you look at it, the whole world is podcasting right now. The whole world, because they're on lockdown. So much so that everything's on back order with Logitech. So webcams are on back order, right? So right. Podcasting tools are on back order. There's a lot of because they can't feed the demand because everybody's creating a podcast. Right. So now the saturated is being, the market's being saturated. You thought it was harder a year ago. It's going to be even more harder now because everybody is in there. The celebrities are the ones who are going to make out like bandits because they already have that following. It's the little guys. Of course. It's the little guys that, they have to, they're going to fight harder. So what they did was they took Joe Rogan at a time where the dam broke and the water's flooding in. So it's like, you know what? Let's take this big piece of valuable change and move them over here because everyone's going on YouTube and they're creating a model for him, which is going to open up doors for content creators in the future. So if I'm getting annoyed because, my show got pulled off of YouTube because they didn't like the subject that I was talking about, but Spotify is offering me a deal where I can talk about whatever I want and they're not going to censor me. Why would I stay on YouTube if they're giving me the same amount of money or more to do it over there? And I can be free to discuss whatever else I want. So I think that's another. So it's very interesting because I was trying to figure out, do I have the right camera here? And I was looking up cameras, and when I went everywhere, everything's on back order. I was like, what's going on? So then I started reading an article, and it was because the whole world is podcasting right now. Everybody's on Zoom. Like if you had stock in Zoom, boom, through the roof. Stock in technology and podcasting equipment and lighting equipment and all that stuff. That's where the money's at right now. It's not just Lysol and toiletries. It's all this stuff now because everybody wants to be on center stage.
Yeah, but I mean, listen, his podcast has 8.47 million subscribers.
Yes. So now think about this. And his podcast ranges from an hour to 3, 4, 5 hours. He has shows where he's interviewing cats for 3 hours. And I sit there and I watch the whole damn thing. Because the subject matter, the subject matters are so interesting. Well, it happens to be subject matter that I'm interested in. So when he has scientists on, I'm locked in. When he has people talking about conspiracies, I'm locked in. When he's talking about, their specific subject, where I'm like, you got me, I'm in. Or when he's doing the round table with the other MMA guys and they're talking about the UFC and fights, and those are long sessions, I'm in. So there's a lot of subjects. There's subjects that I'm not interested in, but there's a lot of subjects that I am in.
But I think that's the brilliance of a Joe. And I got to be honest, I've never sat through a whole episode of Joe Rogan, but he's a funny guy. I've seen some of his stand-up. But I think that's the brilliance of it is his versatility. So he's got people he's bringing in from the world of MMA. Because he does know his style. It's not like he's just like this dude who pretends to like MMA because that's popular. No, he knows the culture of MMA. Like he knows a lot about that. Yes. So if you are a fan of MMA, that's where you're going to go for anything that he talks about at MMA. So he's going to have those people following. Then he's going to have the people who like his comedy, like who are fans of his stand-up. They're going to follow him, Then like the random, like you said, you like conspiracies, you like to talk about, you get hooked up to a 3-hour show about, this political commentator. All of a sudden you're a subscriber, and next thing you know, he's got a scientist on the show. I'm gonna listen to his show. Now people are talking about his show. Now that guy's going to his job. Like, whose podcast I listen to? Joe Rogan. Yes. Oh, really? Check it out. Yeah, boom. All of a sudden. So it spreads like wildfire. And I think that it's almost like a good blueprint, you know what I mean? Yes. For us. Yes. For you and me, for the people out there who have a podcast who think, I want to, this is almost like a blueprint. This is almost what you want. You want to get picked up by somebody like, I mean, at this point, Spotify is putting down $100 million.
They're not going to be.
That's
It's not going to end with
insane.
Spotify. It's not going to end with Spotify because what's going to happen is you're going to have the other say, wait, hold on. How they nab that? How they get that guy? And now, right now, there are content distributors out there that are saying, how much do we got in the bank? All right, what who should we get? And they're sending their guys into the world of YouTube, and they're looking for the next big fish. It isn't going to end. He was the beginning, and he opened up a lot of different doors. There's he's the
yeah, no. What I was gonna say was, I think that there's and we were talking about this right before the show. We started recording. There are going to be people who are going to question this, right? There's a quote here from sorry, from a music research analyst called Mark Mulligan, right? In this article on Rolling Stones that I'm reading. Now, he says, quote, artists need tens of billions of streams to get the same money that Joe Rogan was just given for his show.
Right.
What Spotify is saying basically is, we value this podcast more than we value any single artist on our platform. Now, that sounds negative, right? But to me, it's like, think about this, okay? Spotify is known for its music, okay? People love Spotify. There are plenty of subscribers on Spotify who go on there for music, okay? But now what Spotify just did was like 8.47 million people that didn't subscribe to us. Guess what? If they love this guy, if they want to listen to him now, they're going to have to subscribe to us.
Yes.
So that's 8.47 million people that they just got to subscribe at, even if it's $10 a month. Think about how much money now, it's a gamble because you don't know how that's going to transfer over. But even if 10% of 8 million transfer over, that's a nice chunk of change every month. You know what I mean? For a company who's trying to compete with the Apples, the Amazons, that also have streaming music. Because be honest, Spotify has music, but that's all Spotify has, as far as I know.
Right.
You know what I mean? Now they have now they also have a huge podcast. It's almost like, and I was talking to you before, it's almost like what Howard Stern did when he went from radio to Sirius FM. Yes.
Yes.
So
their value spiked 11% from that Joe Rogan acquisition. 11%.
Yeah, see
so
that?
They're worth billions. So you add 11% to the billions. What does that mean in extra billions, right? And all they did was put out 100 million. Right. So
yeah, man, scam money don't make money.
That's it, and it takes people, to change the game. It's those trendsetters, those visionaries that see the future, and in a time like this where there's so much, you want quality content, and they went after quality because Joe Rogan produces quality content. I've always been a fan of the Joe Rogan experience. There's some topics.
You're a big fan.
Yeah, there's some topics that I don't agree with, or some comments I don't agree with, but and there's stuff that I love. But that's what's great about the show. He'll have debates. And it's the questions are fantastic and the answers are amazing, and he's been consistent. He hasn't changed his MO, and I think that's the biggest thing. He has a winning formula, and it's like you either accept it or you don't, and they accepted it on his terms, and that's pretty fantastic.
How often does the show come on, Sam? Like, what is it, a weekly show, or what is it? It is.
Uh-huh.
It's got 2,300 videos, bro. Like almost 2,400 videos.
He has thousands, yeah. And that's
like the 2388 to be exact, 2,388 videos. Like, that's insane.
Cray.
Yeah.
And it's good for him. That's freaking fantastic. I mean, he was reportedly making $30 million a year with all of.
Okay.
No, with all of his stuff, with everything.
Okay.
$30 million a year. He gets a big chunk of change from YouTube. So, which is why it'd be interesting to see what this deal is, the length of this deal, the terms, how long it is, and is there a clause in it with for renewal and all the other stuff, and is there any bonus stuff attached to it with regards to anything else he does with them? But I think it's pretty fascinating.
Yeah, no, it's very, very interesting, man. Very interesting. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like I said to you, I was telling people before when I said, hey, listen, this is where you want to get to. I mean, obviously, you have to have the millions and millions of subscribers before you could get to something like this. But dude, like,
he's proven he's not
can be done.
Yes, he's not a one-trick pony. He has a wide range of followers, and because of that, he's so successful.
Absolutely.
He has a loyal following with his comedy, a loyal following with MMA, and a loyal following with his show. He's also a mixed martial artist. He's also a black belt. So he's a student of the game, and he's very respectful of the people that he talks about, and which is why he's one of the best UFC commentators there is.
All right.
So I think again. So what does that mean in smaller terms, right? Small bites. So right now, you're going to see a lot of. This won't be the end of it. This will probably be the beginning. In the next 6 months, you're going to see a lot of acquisitions with the big boys. So all of you guys out there that have that same database of people, it's your time to shine. Or the little guys, once those big fish get scooped up, here's your time to start working on that next round, right? So get your hustle on. Start making sure that you're consistent. If you said you're weekly, make sure it's weekly. If you said you're daily, make sure it's daily. Don't skip a beat. And make sure that you are in tune with the changes of the industry, and that you're just producing quality content, because this opened a lot of doors in the industry. I think it's pretty fascinating. I swear to you, I woke up. I was like, oh, and again, and I'm not gonna kick myself anymore. Leave it alone.
I know.
But I saw this. I went to my wife. I was like, you see, if I didn't give it up 10 years ago,
that could have been me. Yeah.
So now, I'm in the trenches with everybody in the mud, right? And we're trying to find out. It's just like, what is that? That series, Iron Man competition. This is like that. We're in the mud. We're in the mud right now. We're in the Iron Man competition, and we're I'm gonna work my way back to you, babe.
Guys, listen. This is what I'm gonna say to our listeners. Okay, this is for me to you, listeners. Please, please, subscribe to our channel. Okay, tell your friends, tell them to subscribe to the channel, so that Sam can sleep at night and not think, look at what I did. Look what I left behind. I could have had the 8 million followers. So let's make it happen for Sam. Let's go on YouTube, sign on, hit that little subscribe button, hit the little bell. You're going to get every week. Listen, we're here every week. Every Friday, you're getting a show. Right now, we're good until July 10th. So we're good until July 10th. Subscribe, please.
Subscribe. Yeah, no, I'm saying this. If you're a guest on the show,
there's more.
Yeah, you need to make sure you subscribe as well. But no. We appreciate everybody.
Yes.
What's great is that we're building separately a following, and whether it's through Instagram, through Facebook, or through Twitter, whatever. And now with the Craze and 10 or Less on SoundCloud, it's getting another different audience that we weren't getting before. So, again, if you like what we produce, show some love. We'd appreciate it. And if you feel that you want to see something different from us, write it in the comments. Subscribe and write, But that's it. And I'm just glad. I love what we do. And,
we have fun doing it, man. We have fun doing it. We come on here, we BS, we're two friends who are just shooting the crap and just talking shop, and we're bringing you along for the ride on our conversations. You can come in on the conversations, tell us what you think. you know, what we were right about, what we were wrong about, what you liked, what you didn't like, all that stuff, man. Let's do it.
Word.
Let's do it.
And so we're going to have Sam Johnson from Geek-Girls on the show. And there it is. Boom. And funny story about that was that we tried to hook up several times back in the days and get Sam Johnson on the show. And it just didn't work out because when I was going to come back with Catch the Craze, something happened and I couldn't. And so it's funny when we connected, I still had the history of our conversations. I was like, oh, we did try it. Oops. But we're on all the way from the UK, which was a pretty cool. It was at 8 o'clock at night over there, but it was bright and sunny. Cray. I was like, yo, when's the sun go down over there? But yeah. So pretty cool. We'll talk about his book, Geek-Girl comic, and it's gonna be cool.
All right, check it out.
We're gonna go to commercial break. When we come back, we'll have Geek-Girl comics with Sam Johnson. I'm Sam the Crazy Matt Bear. Peace out. All right, welcome to the Craze in 10 or less. Welcome to the Craze in 10 or less. Welcome to the Craze in 10 or less. That's 10 minutes or under. This is not going according to plan. What the heck is going on? Oh, hell no.
Hi.
How's it going?
All right. How are you?
Good. So it's been a long time in the making.
It's been a long time in the making. Yeah.
Yes. So excited to have you on the show. And thanks for connecting. And before we have Sam Johnson on, all the way from the UK, which is about a 7.5 hour flight and a 5 hour time difference. You're 8 p.m. over there.
That's right. Yeah.
And there's light outside.
There is. It's very bright, very sunny. Yeah.
Wow.
Despite the apocalypse that we're living.
So how are you holding up? Before we go into you, how are you holding up with this whole new world that we're living in? Are you guys experiencing social distancing, or you're able to navigate?
Oh yeah. No, absolutely. I mean, it's a huge pain in the ass. I mean, I can't see. Well, I can see my girlfriend, but only from 2 meters away.
Right.
Because she works in like an old folks care home, basically.
Okay.
So obviously they're extremely high risk. So that's the biggest problem I've got right now is it's quite a pain to not be able to see one's girlfriend, really.
Yeah, I could imagine.
But I'm okay. How are you doing with it?
I'm doing good. It's interesting. It's changed everything. Your perspective on everything, the way you work, the way we communicate, how you look at how vulnerable and sensitive life is, and precious it is. You know what I mean? And makes you appreciate the fact that you have time to spend with family. When on the flip side, when we didn't have this pandemic, we were so busy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think that was but it changes everything. I had to change my way of working with Catch the Craze and with publishing, and so working it remotely put a little damper on things, and there was some growing pains through it, but we're back in the groove.
Okay.
And so I want the audience to know you and know who you are, and even though you have a popular comic book series, for those who don't know who you are, first, Sam Johnson, who are you?
Well, just before I say anything else, excuse my camera because it's got this crazy zoom thing. It's going to keep coming and go, which I was working on trying to take out, but I ran out of time.
I thought you had a cameraman.
That's just going to be doing its thing. So just to say. So yeah, I'm Sam Johnson. I'm a comics writer. My Geek-Girl is my big series. Geek-Girl, hot popular college chick, lands a pair of super tech glasses.
Right.
Given flight and strength powers, initially make a super klutzy because she's not used to the strength powers, causing her to alienate her cool kid clique. Her best friend Summer sticks by her, pushes into becoming a superhero. She rises to the challenge. She grows as a person, moving out away from a previously quite shallow and self-centered existence, and then gets picked to front a new super team by slightly dubious Johnny Carlisle, and that's basically that sort of pretty much brings you up to speed with Geek-Girl. Cabra, Cini, Voodoo, Junkie, Hitwoman is another of my characters who's going to be coming into the pages of Geek-Girl. She's an ex-junkie hooker that has now cleaned up her act, but basically replaced her drug addiction with an addiction to a bastardized version of voodoo that she's kind of developed, and she's a supernatural gun for hire, and she's quite a big character, scenery chewing, and Carlos Granda, the artist on Geek-Girl, is currently working on the pages that bring her into the Geek-Girl series. The other thing that some people may have heard of is the Almighties, my co-creation with Mike Gagnon, which is a comedy super team. So those are really my teams.
Right. So let's go back to the beginning. How long ago did you create Geek-Girl?
Quite a while. There was a talent contest, Image Shadowline Studios, which I don't even know if Shadowline Studios is still a thing anymore.
Right.
But they did a Who Wants to Create a Superheroine contest. So I just basically brainstormed ideas for superheroines, and what I came up with Geek-Girl was more of a prototype version, but I decided I want to, develop this. And so we had Geek-Girl Zero, a much more low-key black and white thing out. That was out in 2009.
Right.
That had 3 printings, and then it took a while to find the right artist, Carlos Granda, the right artist for the book, which is more widescreen. The Zero was a more low-key sort of introducing rubies like college world, but from there we're going into the tights and capes world. So Carlos was the man for that, and then we've been going with a mini series, and then had some successful Kickstarters, managed to build up the audience, justify it ongoing. So we're now ongoing, and with this super team thing happening, I've got the opportunity to bring a lot of Grant Morrison's run on Doom Patrol, which was a heavy influence on the TV show,
right.
Is my biggest influence. So I've had a lot of weird and wonderful ideas I wanted to bring to my comics for some time, but they required an ongoing series to do them justice. So that's where we're at. So it's a good time for the book.
Right. So so let's talk about the character itself. I know the influence was coming up with something for a contest, but now how did you give life to the character, and where did you pull from to be able to give her DNA and her identity?
Well, there's a. I mean, she's, as I say, she's a student at college. She likes to drink. So I can pull from my university experiences with that. I mean, the type of girls that she would hang out with, or initially was hanging out with, would not be the type of people that I would hang out with. I mean, we're talking horrible bitches, but with exceptions.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, basically, the kind of college mentality where the answer to everything is to drink. So like when she's got these powers in the mini series, she gets put in a position where she's basically got to get step up because there's a big bad lightning storm trashing where they live in Maine, takes out the first lady of superheroes where they are. Which forces, the name Geek-Girl is given to her jokingly by her best friend Summer because of her klutzy actions when she's trying to demonstrate her powers and just ends up knocking drinks over the cool kid clique. But yeah, so she's supposed to step up. What was the original question? I've lost the thread of that one.
Forming her DNA, her identity. Where did you pull from?
So that's what I was saying about the college days. So once she's in the position where she's got to step up, she's now like, right, let's get drunk.
Right.
And then the next chapter of that is Ruby. Well, it's called Ruby and Summer get trashed. So yeah, there's that I can certainly draw on. But the character is certainly not based on anyone I know or anything like that. It's very much its own thing. And the universe, you know, that she inhabits. Like, one of the issues I'm really proud of is the first issue of The Ongoing, where Geek-Girl Ruby K. Geek-Girl has actually been put in a coma at this point, and Summer has stepped up because it's the glasses. It's a chip in the glasses that give the powers. So if you've got the glasses, you've got the powers. So Summer's trying to step up and fill in for her part because she feels guilty about having pushed her into being a superhero.
Right.
And I'm really proud of that issue because it really sort of shows that we built a universe here, because Ruby is Ruby comes out of this coma. It's not a spoiler warning because that's happened, you know, that, and it's quite early on in the series. But the fact that you've got an issue, the first issue, but an ongoing, where the main character doesn't have a line in it. You know, I'm proud of the fact that we've created what is a strong issue that, you know, without actually being hinging on the main character, or in fact not hinging on the main character at all. So I'm very interested in developing the other characters, and I've got lots of plans for characters that have appeared and will be appearing, and yeah, really interested in fleshing these out. And Cabra Cini is going to have quite a strong arc in the story as well.
Right. So now let's talk about you introducing new characters. What do you look for when you're creating a character that's either going to complement, is going to be an advocate, or is going to be a proponent of Geek-Girl? What are some of those characteristics you look for to be able to match up to her?
Well, I think there's a comedic element to the book. So, but there is, there's light and shade to it. So with the original miniseries with Lightning Storm, the big bad that's trashing Maine, the thing with that is, like, at Ruby K's starting point of starting to become a superhero, she was clearly so out of her depth. So it's quite a human book. I mean, one of the reviews of it was it puts the human back into superhuman. So Ruby is not suddenly this woman of steel. She's scared, you know. She is doing this because this lightning storm has taken the other superheroes and Maine off the map. Ruby has to do this, but she's not confident in it, and she's scared, and, well, as we've referred to it, winds up in a coma as a result. So there's real life, you know. She's not invincible. There are things happen. There are repercussions. But also I'd describe it as Mean Girls meets superheroes. So the social side, the college side, the other girls, their relationships is really important as well. So you've got Summer is key in sort of supporting, you know, the BFFs. They've got a great relationship. And then obviously you want the yin to the yang. So Karen, who's the uber bitch of the cool kid clique, is that, and is, you know, quite sort of acid tongued, and Ruby has a few run-ins with her because initially they don't buy this heroine thing. They think it's she's losing her mind or something, and as I say, the attempts to demonstrate it just result in knocking drinks and food over them. It doesn't really sell them on it. But what happens is they alienate. Well, Ruby is alienated from them, but when Ruby saves the city in stopping Lightning Storm, she's popular, and they like to be part of what's popular. So that's something that's going to be the new story arc, Tights and Capes, is really going to get into that, which I'm interested in exploring how that goes. Right.
So now, how many issues have you completed so far in the series?
So apart from the issue 0, which is quite hard to get hold of and is recapped in issue 1, you've got the 4-issue miniseries that's collected, and then you've got the first 4 issues of the ongoing collected, and then we're at issue 5 now, which is the New Direction issue, which is the jump on issue where Ruby is heading up this new would-be super team.
Right. And what's the average time frame that it takes you and your team to put a book together?
There's not a definitive answer to that, but I think we're looking at probably about 4 or 5 months. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so we've done Kickstarters. There'll be another Kickstarter probably in November, but we've done 4 Kickstarters. So I like to, when I do them, have something that's new on there completely, and then we'll often have like the new trade paperback as well. So it's good for, if you're new to it and if you're familiar with it. So yeah, that's the time stretch. I mean, Carlos Granda has other work that he's doing. So as it stands, if obviously you have situations in books where you might rotate artists, but Carlos is such a perfect fit for it. Right. I really want him to do it. So I'm okay with it being the way it is, and it's structured in a way that it works to have gaps between the issues. So it's all right. It works okay.
Right. So now I noticed that you've been pretty successful with Kickstarter. How did you start up with Kickstarter, and why did you decide to go with Kickstarter versus like Indiegogo or Patreon?
Well, Patreon, I think, is I don't know a great deal about it. What I do know is I find people that seem to have huge followings on like Instagram and so forth. When you look at how many followers they have on Patreon, it's absolutely a fraction of it. Right. So it doesn't seem an easy thing. And also, if you're talking about Patreon, it's you've constantly got to be putting out content. And like I say, we have these gaps between issues. So Patreon isn't something that I've had my sights on. Indiegogo seems to me to be quite comics gatey, which is not something I want to be a part of. Right. I have had something on Indiegogo, but I've only done it as a sort of afterthought after having already been on Kickstarter. Kickstarter, I understand it. Like Comics Launch with an X is a course that I'm a part of, run by Tyler James, and if you go to comicslaunch.com, it's loaded with tips on how to do Kickstarter. So it's something I've learned about. Whereas if I go into Indiegogo, I have the impression that I have of it, and I haven't done the research. And it works on Kickstarter, so I can't really see the need to. And like as Tyler mentioned as well, that you often have someone having it, which I had done in the past, but I've stopped doing, where you have it on Kickstarter and then it's on Indiegogo. Now the thing with that is that kind of takes off the urgency of buying it on Kickstarter, right? Because it's like, if you're saying this is the time limit and this is how many is available on it, and then as soon as it's done, they're all up again on Indiegogo. It really kind of devalues the sort of collectability and the event of it, I think.
Right. So let's talk about Kickstarter. What do you attribute your success on Kickstarter to be?
Well, I've spent a long time building up the audience for Geek-Girl. So, as I say, issue 0 coming out in 2009, having 3 printings over a period of time, that built the foundation, because with that I had the Geek-Girl Facebook group, so that's been building. So by the time we got to the point of the series, there was an audience. I've done a lot of research into what to do on Kickstarter, as I say, largely from the Comics Launch stuff. I've researched it. It's like I say, I know what I'm doing with it, so I understand the mechanics of it and the audience of it. Whereas if I was to try and just do what I do but take it over to Indiegogo, I don't have the understanding of that. Right. I back other Kickstarters. I look at what other Kickstarters do. It's a platform I like, so I enjoy doing them. And I find when you're doing them, luckily, so far, mostly been able to devote full time to it when I've been doing it. And I find if you do that, then as you're doing one thing, you come up with another thing, and it you know, it builds like that. So if you're entrenched in it, I find, because I have a part-time day job, and as I say, when I've done it, I've taken a holiday so I can devote full time to Kickstarter. And I think that is, if you can do it, is very helpful, because if you're completely in it, then, as I say, you've got other, you know, you'll hook up with other people that are Kickstarters, you'll cross promote, you just pick things up and develop things as you go.
Right. So Kickstarter is very detailed, right? And there's a lot of information. How long does it take you to just populate it with the information that you need to promote your book?
I don't even want to know, because, you know, I think there was certainly at least 20 something rewards in the last one, and, you know, the images for every one, and it takes a long time, but again, it's all right. It's not like, because like something I'm trying to get into at the moment, again off the comics launch course, is Facebook ads, but I have no interest in it at all. So it's really hard to, you know, try and learn, because like there's a comics launch course for that, and there's a lot of steps to it to come in, you know, fully understanding it and how to play it.
Right.
But I find this a quite turgid experience, whereas putting Kickstarter together, which seems a bit more sort of DIY, I enjoy doing, so I don't mind it taking however long it takes. And another thing that I really enjoy about Kickstarter is that once you go live, it's in real time, and seeing that, you know, the spinning round as the total goes up, so you can, you know, you can see I'm currently doing this to promote it. Is that working? Is that not? By you know, right there. Whereas, like, you know, you can get Geek-Girl Comixology, but with Comixology you get a report. I think it's certainly, it's at least, this is done through my publisher, not directly through me, but it's certainly at least 3 months before you get a report on, you know, that amount of time sales. It might be 6, but it's certainly at least 3. So yeah, so then, you know, you really feel like you're plugged into it with Kickstarter. Right.
So what made you decide that you wanted to write comic books?
Well, back in the day, I knew I was going to write something. I'd gotten out of comics. I came across there was a Virgin Megastore which had a comic section. I came across the Rob Liefeld stuff when he came on board New Mutants, so Deadpool and Cable. That got me back into comics. At the time, I was deciding, what I wanted to write. At the time, Image were running some talent searches where you could submit pitches for their the timing must be slightly later there because of because you Rob Liefeld then a couple of years later Image, so that the Rob Liefeld stuff got me back into comics, and then following that, Image will run some talent searches where you'd submit a pitch for like one-shot starring the characters, and that hooked me. I entered some other talent searches. I entered one with Wizard from the Wizard Comics magazine from back in the day with Malibu Comics, and I placed, I came joint second in that. So I got hooked from this, and it's like, this is what I want to do. Yeah.
So what was it? What was the attraction? Was it his style of art and then the storyline, or a combination of the both?
I think it was really like New Mutants. I like New Mutants in, you know, the traditional New Mutants, but bringing Cable and all those characters into it really made it into something really fresh. And I mean, the characters have stood the test of time. You know, Deadpool is, you know, forget about it. So, there was, I don't know, it really had a different feel because I was into X-Men back in the day, but it had a special feel to it, that stuff. Yeah. Right.
So now, outside of comics, are you an avid reader? If so, what do you read?
My reading has just gone to hell, and that's including comics. It's bizarre actually, because I'm looking at, I've got like sort of 2 stacks like by my bed, and you know the top one is the one I'm sort of most looking to read, and it hasn't changed since the COVID. They have not. That stack hasn't moved. I think the COVID is to blame for this largely, actually, because I would often, in fact, thinking about it, yeah, it definitely is, because I would often on the way back from work on the bus, I would read comics then. That would probably be the most time I would spend reading comics is like that. Now you're more concerned with, not dying, so it's and not touching anything. So right. I don't want to, bring my comics and then have to hose them down after. So yeah, I say I haven't given it a great deal of thought, but I think the COVID is largely to blame for that as well. As COVID's to blame for everything at the moment, basically.
There you go. That's what I'm talking about. So prior to the pandemic, what were you reading in comics?
Well, Deadpool, Doom Patrol, which is, I think, the most beleaguered run of DC comics I'm sure other DC comics have had worse record, but Doom Patrol, Weight of the Worlds. Gerard Way, when he initially came back with Doom Patrol, I loved it. Weight of the Worlds, I'm not so keen on, but it's supposed to have ended, I think it was in December, and we're still waiting for the final issue of it, which was, obviously it's fallen into the COVID black hole now, right. But it was delayed and delayed and delayed. But what else am I reading? I've been reading the last Punisher run in Trades, where he's after the big game, and it's basically Punisher taking on Baron Zemo, and that's cool. But I think that's about it recently. As I say, my reading is totally slipped. But, once we can go on buses and read again, it'll come back together.
Yes. So what's next for Geek-Girl? What would you like to see happen?
Well, I mean, as I say, I've got a load of, going back to referencing Doom Patrol again, weird and wonderful ideas, concepts I want to bring into it. So I've got loads planned. I mean, the next thing that's going to be the big thing is the Cabra arc, because how that comes about, it's not directly connected to Geek-Girl, but while what's going on in the current arc, which starts with issue 5, is there's this guy that's sort of dabbling in the occult, and so we join him when he's doing that. He seems to be trying to summon something up, and then someone comes in and shoots it. So that seems like that's been cut short, but then he manages to get the bullet out using these demonic, if demonic is what they are, workings. And we don't see who shot him, but who has shot him has also taken all his money as well as leaving him for dead. So he wants a way to get this guy, but he doesn't know, he's like, the guy has left town. So that's where Cabra Cini comes in, again, through his interdimensional conjurings. He can conjure up someone that appears to be someone that he had a relationship with, and she puts him onto Cabra. So Cabra is not coming in as a direct connection to Geek-Girl, but it will be, it will connect up, and I'm interested to see how Geek-Girl and Cabra are very different characters. I'm interested to see what their dynamic is going to be. So that's the main thing that's coming out. I mean, that's a big arc. I've had stuff written about for ages, and it's as I say, it's needed the right venue for it in an ongoing series. And obviously, it's the ideas of it are changing all the time because it's in Geek-Girl's universe now. So that's the thing I'm most excited about. But there's loads coming up. I mean, like this would-be superhero team thing. Johnny Carlisle puts them together. Johnny Carlisle is a weapons dealer initially, and then he gets a bit of a telling off from Neon Girl about allegedly being seemingly you'll sell these super tech weapons to anyone. Right. And in the beginning of the ongoing series, there's a crime wave going on, so villains getting hold of super tech weapons is not really helping the good guys. So he's supposedly turned the page and is putting together a super team and doing things for good now. But because his wife's pregnant at the time, and she ends up actually not prematurely, but having the baby sooner than expected. And when we're having this scene with them, it turns out she's kind of paranoid about what he's been up to, and as he having an affair because she never sees him. So he, which is not certainly he, as he conveys it to not be the case. So he needs to kind of, and also seeing his baby born, it's like, right, this is what's important to me now. So the super team thing gets kind of shelved. So they've all been set up in this deluxe HQ. But what's going to happen now is, it's going to take unexpected turns, but there's going to be a training thing with another character from the Almighties, which is going to have a weird thing going on as well. With basically they've got his assistant is in helping them with their training is a rewired or repurposed sex bot. So though this robot is ostensibly there to fight and teach them how to be a super team and act as a team, and all, actually keeps reverting back to wanting to have sex with everyone. So that's going to be so how the different members of the team will react to that is going to be fun to play with as well. So some quirky stuff.
So where does the humor come from? Where does the influence come from?
I think South Park's an influence. I've got back into that because it's probably a different setup in America, but it's recently a load of it's come on Netflix in the UK. Right. So I hadn't really seen it in ages, but I've got into that, and I remember now how it used to be an influence on me back in the day. Like the one I saw last night was with Mark Zuckerberg. And I don't know quite how you describe their portrayal of him. I don't know if you've seen
No, I have not.
this, but he's sort of like an automaton, and he's going about how you're trying to block me. You can't block me. And every time anyone does it, it's absolute, it's nuts. It's like, how do they, and he's on about, and I've got the best style, and your style isn't as good as my style. And I really enjoyed it, and it's just crackers. And as I say, that's reminded me that there's an influence. I mean, we have in the first arc of the ongoing, we have the League of Larcenists, who are a bunch of misfits that are trying to, because this crime wave comes about because of Lightning Storm trashing Maine and hospitalizing superheroes and trashing police stations. So that the villains come out of the woodwork in the ongoing to try and get on board to take advantage of the downturn in law enforcement. And Pighead is again, the weirdness of Doom Patrol comes into it, which there's humor in the weirdness of Doom Patrol. Right. Pighead is a very aggressive guy who's had his brain fused with the pigs, and he's putting together this outfit. And there's one guy who's a bit non-committal. He's a family man. He's not really a bad guy. He's just trying to make a buck. And whereas Pighead wants everyone all in, this guy's having to commute to do the robberies, and he's really not impressed with him. And when they're picking out masks and giving each other's code names, they're handing out Hulk Hogan and Terminator to various people, and they can't find anything that particularly fits this guy Terry. So they're trying to come up with something, and then one of the other mooks pipes up with how he said his wife made him have a vasectomy. So right, you're numbnuts. So Terry really enjoys having the code name Numbnuts, and that causes a little bit of conflict.
Nice. Prior to this, did you have any appearances that you were going to do in 2020 at all? Any events, any conventions before the pandemic?
We had a Kickstarter which ran until the end of March. So that, when I'm doing a Kickstarter, that's my absolute focus. Again, right. I took all the time off the day job as holiday to do it. So I wasn't thinking beyond that, and then now we are beyond that. There is no thinking beyond that. So, and that was quite a thing in itself, because I think now people have got their heads around things to a degree. But I'd started this Kickstarter before all this happened. So the COVID thing kicked in during it. So I actually changed, initially we were going to have stretch goals, and there was this limited print with Harley Quinn and Ruby teaming up, free print when you bought limited variants, and we are going to do stretch goals where you could vote characters to add and do this whole big thing. But I didn't feel really comfortable with, this was the time when everyone was really, didn't know what was happening. And
right.
So I kind of scaled it down. And we're saving that for a future one. I was sensitive to the situation. I appreciate that people have bigger things, but at the same time, this campaign was running, and for anyone that knows Kickstarter, you don't get anything unless you hit the target. So
right.
we had to hit that target. I handled it, and people appreciated the way I handled it. Now I think Kickstarter is possibly a good time to go on Kickstarter, because people have deliberately not put things out. So there's a lack of product on there, which means if you've got a comic on there, you're going to have more eyes on yours because you're less competition.
Right.
And while, comic shops are out of action. So I think possibly now would actually be a good time to put something out on Kickstarter, but starting it and then everything going to hell wasn't ideal. In terms of conventions, anything like that, I hadn't thought beyond the Kickstarter, and now we're in the situation I'm in. I'm just basically we're getting the new stuff done, the new art that was on Kickstarter, which is the first issue is due to come out in August. Both due to come out in August and be back to on Kickstarter, but the Tights and Capes arc, which is based around this big club night, extravagant club night, outlandish, everyone's dressed in fancy dress, where the mean girls really hook up with Geek-Girl, and there's some other mysterious characters in there. So issue 6 of that, the art, colouring, lettering is all done. Carlos has started the roughs on 7, and I've started scripting 8. So we're just moving on with the series is what we're doing.
Nice. So where can people get a copy of Geek-Girl, and how can they find out more about you and Geek-Girl?
So geekgirlcomics.com, as I think you did, if you go on there, the landing page, you put your email address in during the mail list, you get a free, this is an artist impression of the free digital preview comic, because some of the art is taken from this, but it's not really digital. That previews the mini-series, and also a big chunk of the first issue, or first chapter of the mini-series, so you can get it on the ground level there. And it's also got preview art of what's going to be in the new arc. So just put your email in there, get on that. That's the best way to do it. I'm pretty easy to find on Facebook. I've got 2 Facebooks. Generally, my profile picture is going to be Geek-Girl. If you've got friends on Facebook that are into comics, we're probably going to have mutual friends, so it's probably going to be quite easy for you to find me. Twitter is DA Sam Johnson, Sam Johnson, at Sam Johnson. There's also Ruby_K, which is KAYE _ for the Geek-Girl one. So and the Geek-Girl Facebook group is also a good one. Geek-Girl comic book Facebook group for previews and stuff. As I say, we're working on this new stuff, so you're going to see previews there. There's also Sam Johnson Comics on Instagram, where there's also going to be preview stuff for Geek-Girl. So it's plenty of places you can find it. But the best place to go, geekgirlcomics.com, get on the mailing list, because then you'll get the proper preview comic, and then you'll get updates on what's coming and when things like the next Kickstarter are going to hit, as well as preview art and so forth.
Outstanding. So any final statements you want to make for the audience out there?
Hopefully things are going to be coming a bit more back to normal with the comics world. At last press, I believe Diamond is still talking about distributing next week. That's good, because it's, the situation is, but it'll be nice to have some comics, and
right.
Also, they're obviously new comics obviously the situation in terms of them being open to the public in the conventional sense isn't happening, but there's mail order. So from next week, hopefully we'll be able to get up our new comics, and that's all good.
All right. Well, thank you, Sam Johnson. Thank you for sharing Geek-Girl with us, and thank you for taking this call this evening in the UK at 8 p.m., which is still sunny outside. It still boggles my mind. I'm surprised it's not dark out there. I wish you a lot of success in your future endeavors, and can't wait to see what happens with Geek-Girl in the future.
Thank you very much.
You got it. Have a good day.
It's just easy. It's not.
Crazy. I'm so crazy. You so crazy.
Acquiesce.
Crazy.
No, it's about my friend Acquiesce. I met him. Say my name. Say my name. Right? This is what you were thinking? Yes. Oh,
How you describe me?
He said, I'm the idiot.
It was to catch the craze. You're listening to Catch the Craze. You're listening to Catch the Craze. To catch the craze. You are listening to Catch the Craze on Catch the Craze. You're listening to Catch the Craze.
Candy girl.